Hi, Jay here. Thanks for watching my video. So we're in The Sims 4 and I'm trying to do a bit of a build challenge today where I'm trying to build a house for a maximum of 5,000 simoleons. Now, as you can see, I'm putting it in, changing the lot type to tiny home. That's what comes with the tiny living stuff pack for a reason, which I'll explain in a moment. But what I'm doing with this is at the moment you can see I'm just putting a big roof on it. I'll get you into the why while you're watching me do that. So, I'm wanting to do this challenge because I thought it would be a fun build challenge. I've never done it before. Now, in gameplay, if you were doing a rags to riches challenge, you could do this as because a 5k house is really the where it starts to become look attainable quite early in game, where it starts to vaguely resemble a house. Now, in gameplay, you could, of course, do what I'm doing right now, which is just take advantage of the fact that roof pieces are free, drag one out to cover the whole size of the lot, whack the cheapest door on the front, and start putting objects in there. Now, realistically, you would only need to do that if you've got the Seasons pack installed, because obviously Seasons comes with weather effects that can affect both your sim and certain objects, but it don't look very nice. So this is why I changed it to the micro home because we're going to use to make it look a bit more structured, going to use the free floor tile pieces to get down to the maximum 32 tiles of a micro home. Not only if you have that pack will it give you those in-game benefits, but it also helps make the house look a little bit nicer when we do it. So there we go. So I wanted a 4 wide strip, if you like, but that is the size of our house. Now going to use the half gabled roof pieces on each side. As you can see, these actually come with some walls for us, and the benefit of using roof pieces is that roof pieces are free. I wish roofing was free in real life because it's very expensive to have your roof done. Um, but this is The Sims. It's fun. It's fantasy. Um, this is why when people say, "Is The Sims a fantasy exploration game?" Yes, yes, it is. Things that are expensive in real life are very cheap in this game. Now, so we've got the two side walls, and then I'm just going to click on this yellow thing above our room piece here to build a ceiling. And then I'm going to take the full gabled roof and put that up on the top and to make it look like an A-frame house. Now, at this point, it would actually make a decent looking stable at this point. Um, but we wanted to keep it, but as you can see from the bottom corner there, I keep saying the word but a lot, don't I? Sorry. You can see from the bottom corner, we've still got that 5,000 simoleon budget that we started out with in the household funds. I have got a sim on this lot just so that we can keep an eye on the budget. But we're going to need windows in the house. Now, windows cost money. However, as we've mentioned, roof pieces and roof textures don't. So as you see what I'm doing here, I've just shortened that initial roof piece. I'm going to pull up the eaves on it, just so that we don't, to avoid some clipping. And then copying it so that we've got 3 roof pieces, making the middle one shorter, so it just fits the gap between these two. And again, pulling in the eaves on it from not only the sides, but so that there's no overlap between the roof pieces. And then going to put that in glass. So yes, windows cost money, but skylights are free. And this is our windows. You can see it just removes that section from the ceiling there for us to give us. So we've got an A-frame house with a skylight providing a window for us in the living area. Now I am just going to change the roof texture to something that looks a bit prettier. We're going for this sort of scalloped pine roof, which I thought looks quite nice. And I'm just going to do it all the same so that it blends and looks like one singular roof. And then obviously, as you can see, I've just put my a sort of a roof trim on it. I've used a white one. It's always just the one I think it's the nicest one. Now this is where we start spending money on real walls. So that one 4 tile wall just cost us 240 simoleons, and that's another. So we've spent, you know, 480 simoleons just on walls. So you should imagine that's just 4 tiles. So if we'd done that full 30 tile box, we would have spent almost half of our budget just on walls. So now we need a door. Just going to use the cheaper doors. I'm using this single tile one because it saves up space rather than using a 2 tile. This, of course, this door is from Cottage Living, and the cheapest doors in the game come in the Cottage Living pack for 40 simoleons. The cheapest base game one is 50 simoleons, so if you don't have Cottage Living, it's easy to swap that out. Now I'm just putting this wall texture on, because it's an A-frame. I'm going for like cabin look with like a reclaimed wood. Now this one did come with an in-game event a while back, so it does tag as base game, but I think if you didn't do the event, you don't have this wall texture. Now, putting the wallpaper on the roof pieces was also free, so we've only paid for wallpaper on the actual walls that we've drawn in. So we've still got 4,464 simoleons. Now, I would like to have a bathroom. I'm one of those people, I need a bathroom. So if you have, say, depending on what packs you have, you can do a fully functional bathroom in either 2 tiles or sometimes even actually in 1 tile. But I don't have those packs, so I'm doing the classic Sims 2x3 tile bathroom with the door there on the side. And we're just going to finish off the walls again, just sticking with the wooden walls throughout. I think we could do with some lights in here. So I'm just going to grab some of the cheap lights from buy mode here so that we can see what we're doing before putting some flooring down. So I'm just getting the saucer lights, one in the main room and one in the bathroom. Ideally, I would have liked a third light in that little corridor section, but the lights are 50 simoleons each, so I didn't want to spend another 50 simoleons when it wasn't really necessary. So again, just going for the cheapest wood flooring I mean, nothing really matches in The Sims 4, but it's getting close to where we need it to be. And then just carried that throughout so everything's matching. Now it's time to start making this house functional. Now that mini fridge that came with the event is cheaper, but I wanted to use the full height fridge. So we're using that one. Initially thinking about putting it next to the bathroom, but actually no. I think I'm going to rotate it round and put it at the front there. Now this is about making the house functional, so that means the cheapest cabinet is the Blandco Contemporary one for 150. Obviously, if you have City Living, there's like a worn out version of this. That's like it's supposed to be a second hand counter. That's a little bit cheaper. So I've tried to pick one of the nicer swatches of that cabinet. Now I am not putting a kitchen sink in, but I am going to put in an oven. So there we go. That is a fully functional kitchen in The Sims 4. You need the fridge, the counter space to prepare food, and the stove to cook it. Now we're going to go to the bathroom. So you might notice that I'm putting in a shower first, and even though showers are quite expensive, it's actually more, if you are doing rags to riches challenge, it's actually worth your money buying a shower than a toilet, because even if you have a toilet because obviously firstly a lot of the worlds have like toilets that are just sort of in the game. Now just while I've thinking about it, I'm putting this pedestal sink down. In real life I would like a sink in the bathroom and the kitchen, or possibly better off just a kitchen sink. However, in The Sims it's cheaper. For a kitchen sink you would have to pay for the counter and then the sink, so it's cheaper to just buy a pedestal bathroom sink when you're doing this kind of budget challenge, because that's only 120 simoleons, and whereas the cheapest counter is 150 on its own. Now I'm just putting a single bed in here. This is a single sim household, but that is, while it's not the cheapest bed, the cheaper ones are uncomfortable for adult sims, so it's worth spending the little bit extra for that teen bed. And I thought the green swatch looked right. So we'll putting a mirror in. The mirror, it gives charisma, skill building, and also has the same functions as a dresser in The Sims 4, so it's a lot of a cheaper way to get that. I'm just putting move objects on so I can put the mirror at the end of the bed. It kind of that way looks like it's in the living area, but it also partially screens the bed from the front door because obviously the front door has some windows in it. Anyway, what I was saying about the shower, your Sim's hygiene need will still decline whether you have a toilet or not. And actually letting your Sims use the toilet will make their hygiene need decline fast more. However, if you just let your Sim pee themselves, you can put them in the shower and then so it's like they've taken care of their bladder need by peeing themselves, and then you can just fix their hygiene need, which would have decayed anyway. I know that's really gross, but in this kind of budget challenge, a toilet is a luxury item in this game, which sounds absolutely bonkers to say out loud, and I'm kind of like horrifying myself. But yes, that's why the bathroom at the moment is just a shower and a sink, and the sink is going to dual function as like a kitchen sink as well. Now, if you've seen, obviously, I've placed a little sofa. I have moved on to the, again, it's not the cheapest one, but looking at the statistics for like how it affects the Sims needs, the cheapest one isn't very comfortable. The next one up is a false economy because it's a sectional sofa. So if you just wanted to have like an armchair, then yes, doing the sectional sofa would work out. But if you actually want a two-seater, it's better to buy that base game love seat. And I thought, well, I added green with the bed, so I might as well keep the green sofa. And yes, I've picked the Penguin TV because the next one up isn't that much better than it in terms of stats, but it's twice the price. And actually, I think the Penguin TV is kind of cute, and it comes in green, so it fits the color scheme. Just popping in a smoke alarm and a thermostat there. Again, the thermostat, it only relates to gameplay if you have seasons. So if you don't have that pack, don't worry about it. You don't need it because you don't have the weather effects. And of course, you did see me put down a little bookshelf there, stack of books next to the TV. That just gives you access to, well, not only can your Sims then read for fun as well as watching the TV, but it also gives you access to the skill books, which you have to buy through the bookshelf. So yes, you could just go to the library in game, and to be fair, libraries and gyms are very useful community lots when you're just starting out in The Sims 4. Um, but with this being having the micro home benefits, you would get you get faster skill gain for doing that. But obviously, if you don't have the tiny living stuff pack, you'd be better off just going to the library and reading the skill book there for free because you'll gain skills just as quickly without it. I've also put the easel in there. Now the positioning of the easel in that it's another thing that can partially screen the door um, from from the bed, but also it's a skill building item for painting skill um, that you can actually build quite a lot of money with the painting skill. So my thinking is if you were doing this as a rags to riches challenge, up until this point, your Sim's probably been making money by harvesting plants, selling collectibles, and breeding frogs. All of which is actually very easy to do in the base game worlds of particularly Willow Creek and Oasis Springs. I'm building this in Newcrest, which isn't quite as good for that. Um, but yes, at this point you would be looking for other ways to make money. So the easel is very good. Where painting and gardening are really overpowered in The Sims 4, especially if you have the boosts from a micro home. Now, as you can see, I did just place their luxury item of a toilet because at this point in the build, I was kind of running out of things to put, but I still had like 700 simoleons. So I thought, well, I can't. There's no point in not using. I don't mind being under budget, but there are little things I could add here. I can't put anything on the kitchen counter because otherwise your Sims won't be able to cook there. So it's more about decor. and detailing. I could have put in a toilet roll, but this is the evidence, all the evidence you need to prove up just how out of whack the Sims economy is. So that front door there that I put in costs 40 simoleons. Toilet roll costs 50 simoleons. So, um, and roofing is free. So this build really does just show that The Sims has a very strange economy. Um, Although I suppose you can afford to spend 50 simoleons on a single roll of toilet paper if you got your roof for free. Um, Now, so instead, I decided just to put some paintings in and get some like environment points from having a bit of decor in. Now, this, if I was to play in this lot because it's so narrow, it would actually be better off to play with the walls fully down, just so that you can, because even in cutaway walls, you can see the roof pieces aren't really going down for you and could be getting in your way, so you're better off. Me personally, I would say to just um, put the walls down and play that way. Now, let's see, can we get a rug for the living room? Now, I know this is the baby's first rug, so it comes if you have like when a newborn becomes an infant, you sometimes they'll spawn one of these rugs to lie on the floor. Most of them are very childish, obviously, which makes sense given the name, but I do quite like this watermelon swatch. Here, obviously, it does add a new color. It adds in red, but it has the green trim around it, which I think if one sized up, it makes sense. Just it does work as a nice little living room rug here. And then we've got just I'm looking for see if I can put something in the bathroom. So I've got a bath mat here for 50 simoleons. Not bad, a 20 simoleon rug for the living room and then 50 for the bath mat. Again, just adding a little bit of decor and a little bit of color because this house is brown. It's very, very brown. So we need to, so I wanted to add color where we could. And I'm just having a look to see, can I put another rug in front of the door? But actually I decide, you know what, I've got a little bit of decor in there. Let's have a look and see what we can do outside. Now I don't want to pay for floor tiles for a front path, so I'm going to use terrain paint because terrain paint is free. And we're going to use the pebbles one because I like a pebble path. So this is the really precise one. If you want to be, you can do it, spray a quarter tile if you want to be very precise. But for these footpaths, I like to just use the size brush that's a whole size of a floor tile, uh, line it up perfectly with the edge of the path so that it kind of then looks neatly placed. But in this one, I think I wanted to have a 2 rows. Even though we've only got one door, I thought the slightly wider path looked a bit better. And you're right, it didn't cost us anything, so why not? At this point, I realized when I bulldozed the lot earlier, it did get rid of the mailbox. So I'm gonna put one of those in at the front of the lot. I know you can in the Sims 4 you can place your mailbox pretty much anywhere. So initially I was looking at it by the door, but I don't know if it's just because I spent a lot of time playing The Sims 1 and 2, where the mailbox is just not only at the front of the lot, but actually off the lot, and you can't really move it from there. But to me, it just makes sense to have the mailbox right at the front of the lot. We also need an outdoor bin for functionality. I know that one looks more like a community lot bin, but it's significantly cheaper than the wheelie bin. So just for the budget challenge, I went for the cheaper one. Now, just to get at something else that we can use for not only for skill building but monetization, I thought we'll put a planter box in. I was initially thinking about the back, but actually I thought no, well, I haven't really put anything out the back of the lot, so I'll just pop it in the front there. And it's not unusual for someone to have a planter box in their front garden. Now we've only got 80 simoleons left. What can I do with it? Let's see. So I'm going to use, I think we need some landscaping just because without having any windows on the front of the lot, this house is just a big brown line. It's just a big triangle. So I'm going to try and use that cypress tree. That's obviously real landscaping that I've paid for. just to see what the house looks like. So see, it's kind of, I mean, it is a funky looking triangle, but I think if I reposition that tree and then use some debug landscaping, we might be able to sort of hide some of the ugliness by breaking it up with the tree. See, it's, you can still see it's a triangle, but that tree is sort of breaking it up and making it slightly more aesthetic. The bin looks a bit ugly, but it's just a more practical place. So to put it, now I am typing in the debug cheat here. So there's two debug cheats. It's bb.show live edit objects and then bb.show hidden objects. And then you go into the search feature and just type in debug and it brings up this long, you know the cheats worked if you get that long list. And then this just gives you access to all of the things that the Sims team use to build the world around the playable lots to make it feel like you're actually in a real world. Now, as you can see, some of the poly count on them, like this tree, it's a big, lovely big tree that takes up a lot of the lot. And some of the other objects, the poly count on them's not quite as high as it is for normal objects in the game. So, but you can get away with it because they're not actually meant to be in your lot. They're meant to be off in the background so that you can go, oh, there's a tree, you know, down the street from my Stim's house. But with those cheats, we have access to these, and with these budget builds, it can help the lot look a bit settled. So I'm using, and this actually hedge is a very good because it looks very thin, especially compared to the real object tree um, that I put at the front there. But I'm just going to use that to edge the lot because, well, that's a public footpath running down the side of your Sim's house there. So I thought that just, it frames it off. And again, just frame the edge of the lot there at the back. And it makes it look like I've done more with the back than really I haven't done anything with it. But I'm just going to leave it open at the front and on the other side there. Now I'm going to add in a couple more trees though. So at this point I am just going to go through debug and try and see what I can find to help fill out the lot a bit as much as possible. Because just to make this house look more finished than it is, but because these some of the debug objects do cost money, but most of them don't, which means if you, as you were going through this and you delete the debug landscaping, it won't be like cheating because you haven't paid for it. Now, my approach to landscaping is there's no right or wrong way. To be honest, there's no right or wrong way to do anything in The Sims. But with landscaping in The Sims, as in real life, I do like quite a lot of heavy landscaping. So like a lot of bushes and trees pushed together so that it looks all pretty and you've got like lots of colors and different heights. And obviously in real life, that obviously is really good for pollinating insects. Now, I like these bushes that I'm trying to put down here on the side of the lot. Just want something to soften that side path there. But then I realized that they come with the vampires pack. And while I hadn't set out to make this a limited pack build, at this point I realized I had only used 2 packs for the objects and then tiny living stuff is for the lot type. So I thought, well, there's no point in adding an extra pack if I don't need to. So I went to try and find some other bushes. Um, Now there is a mod that helps you search. I think it's the Better Build and Buy mod that helps you search through debug, like normal build mode. But I don't have any mods in my game, so I just have to scroll through randomly. I actually cut out quite a bit. Um, I was thinking about, because I've used seasons, putting the money tree in, but that is just too cheaty. It would cost 20 simoleons, but your sim would be able to harvest like 20 grand a day from that tree. So I've put in I think it's just an apple tree I've put in there. Still the same 20 simoleons, and your sim will be able to harvest from it, but the yield's not quite as big. And let's see. So instead I went for just some lavender bushes on the side, but I rotated them so that they're facing opposite ways. So I just think that that makes it look a little bit more realistic. So just put a couple of lavender bushes there, and then I'm going to put another shrub. I don't know what it is because the debug stuff, it doesn't tell you names, it just says debug. Um, wasn't too worried about clipping at that point because it's just, you wouldn't see it in the house. Then just move that tree further forward to make sure your sim can actually get round there. Now I would offer a tour, but as you can see, well, this is the house. There's not much. This is the tour. You can see it all from this angle. um, I think the next stage, and if you were to get more money, if you were playing in this, I would add like a 4x4 box at the back of the house for to make a separate bedroom, and then where the bed is now would just be a corridor. As you can see, it's up on the gallery. I did leave the lot name just as Oak Alcove, that way you know which lot I built it on. And this is of course the screenshots. It's this third one that that lets you see inside the house. It's 4,975 simoleons, one bed, one bath. I just put the description as I built a tiny home for under 5,000 simoleons, with the hashtags being tiny home and budget build. Just showing you there that I've only used cottage living and seasons, and these are the only 4 objects. So 2 doors and a set of books from cottage living, all of which have base game equivalents that are slightly more expensive, but you would still be able to fit it within the budget challenge. And then the thermostat comes with seasons, but it's a gameplay object, so you don't have the gameplay effects if you don't have the seasons pack. So yeah, don't worry about it if you don't have those packs. You'll still be able to download this into your game, and the game will just remove them. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not hit that like button or drop me a message down in the comment section below, and consider subscribing. It's completely free and really helps me out. You can also follow me over on Instagram at jattemptgames with underscores in between each of the words. Bye now. Catch you next time.